Welcome to the Sales Dojo podcast. The podcasts are here to help you address the real issues salespeople face every single day.
Full house, bands back together. Susie isn't in far-flung corners of the world, in glorious hotels, being the international, fabulous business entrepreneur person that she is. Hi, Susie.
You're too kind. It's so good to be back. And, there's nowhere I would rather be than here with you guys. But somehow duty's called these last few weeks. So I apologise, but I'm glad to be back.
Well, I was going to say, it's very nice of you to say, but I think Mauritius or the Maldives or something would be far nicer than being here on Zoom with me and Leon.
Yep.
Let's not lie. That's all right.
Well, what would be the best would be if we all did the podcast from the Maldives.
Full time.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Surely. Now we're in the top 100 of something.
If you're listening in Salesforce.
I was reading something that the chief exec of Salesforce had just spent some money on. He could definitely afford to send us to the Maldives.
Yeah, he also got a ticket for that dinner that Donald Trump and Prince Charles or King Charles were at the other day.
Did he?
Yeah.
A golden ticket for the state banquet.
Yes.
Wow.
Not bad for a CRM. Hey, well done, that man.
Anyway, enough of politics. Chris, what are we doing?
4 posts to share. We've got some lists. In fact, we've got a few lists today. We love a list. We'll jump straight into it. First post. This might have been me that shared this. I can't remember. Love the guy's name, Jan Benedict Mundorf. He's either going to be the president of a large country or an assassin one day with that name. I love that. They always have triple barrel names. It's quite a big post, so I'm going to kind of skim read it to give you the gist. Jan says, after 214 closed deals, here are my top 6 disco questions. If you're brand new to sales, he's shortened the word discovery here. This isn't going to be John Travolta-esque disco questions. Okay. Number 4, saved my last deal, says Jan. If you don't go deep on pain, you don't close. You just build pipeline that looks good and goes nowhere. We can dissect that another day and do a whole post about that. I like that. This happened to me in one of my one-to-ones with my manager. He asked me, what is their pain? I answered, they are chasing receipts. My manager, this is no pain. This is process description. Dig deeper. Of course, this deal went nowhere, so I stopped settling for surface level answers. So basically he's saying, don't have a pipeline full of hopium. Dig really deep and find what's really going on. And he's got 6 questions here, which he really likes using. So he says he uses these on all his discovery calls. Number 1, what happens if this problem isn't solved in the next 3 to 6 months? So a future question. Number 2, who else is frustrated by this internally? I don't think he means like tummy ache or constipation. He means within the company. Number 3, what are you doing today to manage this? So he's got the future. He's getting the present. What's the cost of keeping things the way they are? Number 5, why is now the time to fix this? Looking for motivation. And number 6, what kind of pressure does this put on you and your team? So he says the results from these questions, more urgency, fewer slow deals, better qualification, more real business cases that close. My take, he says, most reps hear one pain point and jump to the demo, but the best AEs slow down and dig deeper, blah, blah, blah. So no world altering stuff there by Jan, but what I like is he said, look, I'm in sales. This is what I've done. This helped me. Here's some clear examples of what I've said. Not, and then buy my course or whatever. Susie, as we've missed you, I will jump to you first. As I've said, he's found the future, he's found the present, he's looking for motivation. There's a million questions we could use here, but what are your thoughts on what Jan is saying?
Love. This is totally what you and I teach and preach, Chris. Like if I think about some of the recent gigs that you and I have had together, and just last week I was working with an American organization, well, a global organization, which I won't name, but they sell tech. Let's just keep it very broad for now. And one of the ladies, Pamela, hi Pamela, she said at the end of the session, she said her biggest takeaway was remembering that a need is not enough. basically what happens is you identify a need as a salesperson, then you go straight into what Jan's talked about, which is that demo or whatever it is. Just because we have a need for something doesn't mean we're going to go and act on it. So what our job is as a salesperson is to help that person realize what not addressing that need is costing them, or what they're missing out on as a result of that, or to help them realize how much better their world would be if this was addressed, right? There's different techniques you can use to get there. And Jan's listed off a few questions that can really help people get there. So I love this. I think it's great reminder to dig deeper and to go, to put a finger in the wound basically, and make it even more painful than it is already when you're doing that questioning. So in total agreement. And if I had to pick a favorite from these 6, I love them all, but I'm going to pick what is the cost of keeping things the way they are? About 25% of deals that are in opportunities, B2B deals, are lost to no decision at all. That means they're explored, they're put in the CRM, there's been a conversation that's happened, but then the customer decides to stick with what they already do because they haven't identified that the pain is tough enough. So, yeah, there you go. That's my tuppence worth.
We love your tuppence, Susie. Thank you. It's a great point, and that's a really interesting stat. There was a quote I saw the other day. It was a bit coffee shop wall, but it says if you ask most companies who the biggest competitor are, they'll list you a few logos, and they say, no, actually, your biggest competitor is no decision. Like just absolute apathy, doing nothing is your biggest competitor when you're in a sale. So these questions really help dig down on that and qualify out. I think a slim, healthy pipeline's better than a big fat one full of bullshit. Definitely. Leon?
Yeah, I don't disagree with what's already been said. I think my favorite out of these is who else is frustrated by this internally? I do.
Yeah, it is. It's far better than who's the key decision maker or what other stakeholders can we talk to here. You've got to find out that information going on.
An alternative to that as well is that I love to ask is who's going to be against this? Because often you're talking to the champion, or you're going to be talking to somebody who's pro your decision or pro your solution. And so asking a question like who's going to have a problem with this can also be a great question to kind of identify where are the people or who are the people we need to still win over.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, love that.
I can't tell if Leon's unfrozen yet.
I am unfrozen now, yeah. Sorry. The only other things I was going to add to this was one, he says, I ask these 6 questions every time. Be very careful about having a list of questions that you need to answer to get your own answers. You do need to flex. You don't want to just make sure it's a questionnaire. And then the other one is what he doesn't do is he doesn't find out why this is important to the person who's the champion in the business, because that could be very different than the reason why it's good for the business. Someone might be buying a bit of software because it helps the business to streamline, but that champion might want to get a promotion, and you want to talk about that and focus on that and help them get the promotion, which will then help you get the deal over the line.
Yeah, 2 spot on points. And we see this sometimes, don't we? People say, when I go into a sales conversation, I list out the questions I want to ask, which is, I'm not against that at all. Rehearse, be prepared, but make sure you don't interrogate people. You've got to ask the right question at the right time, which means you've got to have that flexibility. Great points, but we really like that. Well done, Jan, kicking us off today. I think key takeaway for me, if you're listening to this and you're in sales at all, self-review. Do you jump into solution mode too quick? Do you hear, as Susie said, a need, get all giddy and excited, and your pupil dilates and you go, we can help with that, and you start pitch vomiting on people because you found a potential sale there? Well, you haven't. You found a potential conversation. Just be that therapist. Dig a bit deeper. Cheers, Jan. Post number 2, some bloke I've never heard of called Steve Myers.
What a guy.
What a guy. Steve, if you're listening, the adoption papers are coming through soon. We all want you to adopt us. I can't mimic Steve Myers' voice for this because who could? Warm syrup being poured in your ears, having a conversation with Steve. Steve has... This is off track as usual for the Sales Dojo podcast. He's quoted Shakespeare, which I love. I'm going to read the Shakespeare quote on his graphic. And Steve, if you've pulled the wool over my eyes and this isn't Shakespeare, and you've just chat GPT'd it and stuck a picture of Shakespeare next to it, every credit to you because you got me. But he's quoted Shakespeare's saying, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." Very good. And Steve adds to this with his post. I'm not normally not a fan of a motivational quote. Exceptions have to be made for Willie S. Clearly, William Shakespeare's gangster name. He nails it every time. Nevertheless, does merely reading this and intellectually agreeing with it make you any braver than you were 5 minutes ago? I didn't think so. It takes more than being told what to believe to change your beliefs. Absolutely great. And then there's a little pitch for going to work with Steve Myers, which you all should do. Why I wanted to share this was what he's getting at is it's that freeze mentality. And I've seen so many people with this at the moment when we're coaching, is they're not quite sure what to do. And that little voice has got in their head and they just don't do anything. Rather than do it and get it wrong, they don't do anything, which is 100% guaranteed nailed on way to not get it done, isn't it? To not get a result. And I was wondering, and we've not rehearsed this, so sorry to put you guys on the spot, but you're fantastic coaches, I'm sure you have. When you've coached people or come across people who've got this lack of self-belief or this gut-wrenching fear about what if I get it wrong, so they freeze, they just avoid an activity that they need to do, what would you say to them? Is there any words of wisdom or conversations you could have with them that would help? Leon?
So I had a conversation with someone earlier on today about exactly the same thing, and they had this challenge that they weren't doing something. So I just asked them the questions that they were thinking about in their own head about, so you've tried this and it's led to that, and you haven't done this, but you think it might get you there. Go on, tell me again why you're not doing that and you're doing this instead. So I would always just try and ask the questions that I think they're probably asking in their head.
I love that. Did they tell you how close you were? Like, did you get the questions right?
Yeah, so they often do a wry smile and look up when they're looking down, and when you've got someone and you're asking the right question, they'll do that, and she did that earlier on today. Yeah,
love that, mate. Love that. Susie?
There's different things you can do, and I think it depends on how long you've been working with the person for and where they're at in their journey and everything. But Chris, you and I talk about reframing, don't we? So if you catch yourself with negative beliefs or limiting beliefs, they're like, oh, they're not going to pick up my call, or I don't know, are they going to hang up on me or something like that? Then you can teach yourself to reframe those into positives. Like, you never know, I might reach somebody who I can help today. Like, that's a positive reframe of it. Or every no is a way of learning and developing further. So they're ways to work on fear of doing something. I mean, I've just used the example of picking up the phone and calling someone. And so I think that's a good technique to use, is to positively reframe it. Another one to ask yourself is, what's the worst that could happen? So, and actually get them to tell you what the worst that could happen is, like, and get them to basically say something that's out of the ordinary, worst that could happen. Like, an alien invasion could happen at the same time as I'm just doing this thing, and blah, 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 blah. And make it fun so that people can realize how unlikely it is that the worst could happen. So there are a couple of techniques that I would use, depending on the person and the situation, of course.
I love how you went to alien invasion. There's one of the things that you never know. In an infinite universe, there is a possibility. I really like the point Steve Mays is, the world is overflowing with motivational quotes now, isn't it? You can't move for Maya Angelou or Yogi Berra or whoever it is. And it's fabulous. And I love all this, but a motivational quote rarely hits quota. It doesn't, it's action that you need to do. And people I've been helping with this recently, I found strip it up. Two things I would say is strip everything out that you can. Just go right back to basics and everything looks far less terrifying when it's just, you just need to make 10 cold calls with a script and read that opener. That's it. Like, don't think past 10 a.m. Tiny little micro goals take all that pressure off yourself. I can't hit this quarter's target by doing what? 3 months away. What can you do before 9:30 this morning? Like, strip everything right back and then make really clear actions. Really clear, super simple actions, and just do one of them. You don't have to do everything, but if you've got 10 things to do and you just do one of them, you're now 10% closer to getting done what you needed to get done. Micro goals, tiny little actions, and build it up makes everything far less terrifying. I think there's a Friends episode about this, somebody getting married, but maybe not our target audience. We won't go into that. Steve, as ever, pal, hope you're well. Love that we can mention one of your posts. Crowbar William Shakespeare into the Sales Dojo podcast. To be or not to be on target this month. Look at that for a slick link.
Seamless.
I'll be on Radio 4 before you know it. Right, next post then. Brandon, I don't know how to pronounce your surname, Brandon. Brandon Klauser. It sounds a little bit Germanic, Susie. Is that how you pronounce it? Or would it be with a K in Germany?
It could be of German descent.
Could be.
I wish he was called Brandon Closer, though. I think that would be more fun.
I think he probably goes by the name Brandon Closer, judging by the post.
Yeah, Brandon, if you've not started publicising yourself as Brandon Closer, then we want 10% of everything moving forward for when you do that. So I'm just going to read this out and I'm going to give it absolute beans. Okay, this is a post on LinkedIn from Brandon Closer. Brandon Closer says, I closed a $13 million deal at Workday. Does that mean million? Does that mean multi-million?
Million a month.
Million a month, 13 million a month. Right, sorry. That was almost my wages. That's amazing. So he says, I closed a $13 million a month deal at Workday. I was the number one rep in my org at Salesforce. I did multiple $100,000 weeks at a Series A. I can show you the dashboards. I don't do average. I don't do safe. I like extremes. My clients, they don't just win deals, they dominate. He's got his shirt off right now, beating his chest. We're talking multi-million-dollar contracts, 200% quota months and unbreakable bulletproof mindsets. One of them just closed a $2.6 million deal at Salesforce we manufactured from scratch. Another dominating at HubSpot, 180% of his number. Another, a CEO of a consulting firm, learning and landing massive new clients. Another, an enterprise rep closing 8.7 million early renewal we've been working and crafting since spring. Go watch the videos on my page, then DM those folks. Results don't lie. You know what else I like? $15,000 weeks as a solo coach, a 2025 Ford Raptor, and lifting heavy weights. No bloated staff, no IG ads, no spammy newsletters, no watered down cohort nonsense. All one-on-one, every day, 24/7 in the trenches with my clients. I'm not building programs and systems. I'm building top 1% producers in real time. Scalability, couldn't care less. I care about my clients winning, stacking checks, and providing for their families. Everything I do is custom tailored to their industry strengths, their weaknesses. They call, they text, I answer always. I feel like it's a movie trailer. Powerful results, powerful trucks, power lifting, powerful lives. If this post makes you uncomfortable, good. We're not a fit. I'll be in the trenches, bleeding, sweating, and fighting alongside the people who invest their hard-earned cash in me. Not for everyone, but if you're the type, you already know what's up. And then there's a picture of, I'm guessing, him powerlifting and a white Ford Raptor SUV 4x4 truck thing. So, Brandon, I don't know what to say. And by looking at the faces of my fellow presenters, I don't know whether this is real or, hey, you found a brand, you found a niche. Looking at the comments, you've got a lot of love out there, Brandon. I live in the northwest of England. I don't think this would strike a chord with my audience, but as Brandon says, doesn't care if you're not fit. That's cool. Leon, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, similar to I'm sure what yours were when you first read it. And I actually sent it into the group thinking, look at this dipstick. However, on reflection, I think it's really important to qualify out people who aren't your target market, who can't afford what you do, who don't like it, who don't dig what you do. And this post does go on to do that a little bit later on. Like, I wouldn't be working with Brandon. He feels a little bit too much for me, but I'm sure there's some people who say the same about me and you, Chris, and Susie.
Yeah.
And that's one of the key parts of coaching, is that you find someone that you can respect and fear a little bit, I guess. You need to have a bit of accountability in that relationship. So, yeah, look, I'm not into pissing contests, but he's clearly a big, strong man, and fair play to him.
It's a great point. If you get up at 3 a.m. and eat creatine butties for your lunch, maybe Brandon's your man. Now, wrong with that. Horses for courses as such. But it's almost like it's a fake post, but he doesn't sound very fake. And I like real people. So if anything, since I read this when it was shared, I've done a full 360 on Brandon, and now I just don't know where I'm at. I'm confused. Brandon, I don't know whether to call you Biff or buy you a pint and give you a hug. I'm unsure. Susie, well, I'm on the fence, Susie, for the first time. I know.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, I have definitely qualified myself out of this one. I don't think that Brandon and I would be a fit. However, I can see people really responding to this and really responding to that mentality that he's putting across. And we shouldn't be in sales to be liked. I think that's one of the biggest things that I had as a problem when I was a sales rep, is I wanted to be liked by everybody and do a good job. And it's not possible to do that. So I think that what I can imagine are some of the qualities that Brandon has, whether this is a jokey post or not, and I think it's a genuine post, is he obviously has a goal in mind. He knows who he is, he knows what he wants, and he has probably a very clear idea of how to go out and get it. And there will be customers out there, some of these customers who maybe have spent money with him, I'm talking about when he was a rep himself, where that no BS, just cutting through it all, has been what they've respected, and that's why they've gone with him rather than somebody who pussyfoots around and, oh yes please, and whatever, right? So I can imagine that's part of what makes him successful, assuming this is all legit, and I've got no reason to think it's not legit. So yeah, I've qualified myself out, but if this appeals to you, give Brandon a call.
Yeah, 100%. So whenever we talk about Sales Dojo stuff, I've always said, like, I want to get as many different ways of saying stuff into people's ears and onto people's screens so that they can decide which is the best way for them. And if Brandon Closer is your man, reach out, earn some money, do some $13 million and live a happy life. Good luck.
100%. I really want to know, Brandon, if you're listening to this, and you know what, I think our listeners might be surprised that we've not gone, bloody hell, Brandon, what a blah, blah, blah. We're going, yeah, cool. We quite like Brandon. That's all right. I want to know what your commission at Workday was on a 13 million monthly deal, because that's 156 million you've brought in a year. So if you're on 1% commission, that's $1.56 million in commission. Yeah. But if you're now on $15,000 a week coaching, that means if you work 52 weeks a year, don't have a holiday, and don't have a bad week where you don't hit that 15, you're bringing in 780,000. So I want to know why you've taken a 50% pay cut just off your commission from that deal to go and share your secret sauce. I think, Brandon, we want a chat. Okay. We like you. We like your energy. I want to see if you can bench press Leon. Okay. As well with your powerlifting. And we want to see if those numbers add up.
On the podcast, Brandon.
Yes, live on the podcast and YouTube. We will start a brand new YouTube channel just for this. It'll end up like Jake Paul, and we'll do celebrity sales boxing. There's our £1 million idea, guys. Come on, celebrity sales boxing. Right, Brandon, we're going to leave you there, pal, because we've got one more post. Morgan J. Ingram. I think you shared this, Leon.
I don't think he did, but I'm happy to talk about it. So we've had Morgan on before, and he's cool. He said 20 rules that took me from the worst SDR in SaaS to hitting above my target. And then he says, save this for later, which everyone should do. So there's 20 on here. Number one is time blocking activities. I think we can all agree that's a good idea. Number two is track what's working weekly, which is interesting because lots of people don't track what's working ever, never mind weekly. Do one thoughtful post per week, whatever, take that or leave that. Document your wins and process. Love that. 10 cold calls before 8 a.m. local time. I mean, that might work in the USA, but no one's in the office before 8 a.m. in the UK. I don't think it probably be best doing it before 10 a.m. People usually get in about 9 and have a coffee and stuff like that. Be the best student in the company. We've had all of these conversations with loads of people when we've had them on the podcast before and we've interviewed them.
If you got to number 7, pick up the phone, it'll only help. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Number 8, build sales nav lists of past customers. Yeah, that's important data. Study your customer stories in and out. 100% love that. I'll let you take over at number 12, Susie. Video messages over templates every time. I think we should do a whole show about video messages at some point. 11, create content about your buyers' problems. Yes, love that, Morgan. Susie.
Share what you are working, share what you're learning, not what you're selling. Attend events or local events to hear the buyers talk. Your LinkedIn profile speaks to buyers, not recruiters. Read all your messages out loud before you send them. Send 100 manual messages before touching automation. Comment on 5 prospect posts daily. Real thoughts, not great posts. Find one AE to work directly with to understand the business and feed them good meetings. And email your executive team and ask what's the one thing that a rep at this organization does not do that you would love to see them do. So they are the 20 things in Morgan's list.
We had a really great chat with Morgan on the podcast, so I kind of heard this in Morgan's energetic style and direct style. I love this. Numbers wise, Susie, any of those that stand out that you'd like to double down on?
So I think a few are repeated, Morgan. So I think you've kind of given yourself some poetic license to get to that magic number 20. Track what's working weekly and document your wins and processes. I think that's very similar. But there are some good pieces of advice in here. Time blocking activities. Yes, big fan of that. Track what's working. Yes, big fan of that. And let me pick one more that I'm a huge fan of. Pick up the phone, it will only help you. Yes, yes, and yes. Like they're 3 that stand out to me as being hallelujahs.
Yeah, 100%. Pick up the bloody phone, will you? 15 for me. Read all your messages out loud before you send them. We've done a lot of training with people on sending cold outreach via email recently, or even internal emails. Like, read it out loud if you want to get a better feeling of how that's going to come across to people. I think that's a great shout. What I really like is number 3, one thoughtful post per week. And the only reason I like that is it kind of going in the face of you must post twice a day and build your personal brand and blah, blah, blah. If you're an SDR, your job is to go and get conversations and interrupt people and get on the radar. Yes, you need to have a social media presence, but I would prefer to see an SDR doing one really great, genuine, thoughtful post a week than 2 a day crap. I think it's going to go against you. And all that attention it might get you might give you a false sense of success, because likes and comments don't hit your target and don't feed your family. They just feed your ego. So yeah, build that in the background, but go back to number 7, pick up the phone. Fabulous. Love that, Morgan. If you're listening, pal, drop us a line soon. We'd love to have you back on. Just the 4 posts this week, Susie. But 4 great posts. Morgan's given us 20 things to go above and beyond if you're an SDR. We love that. Brandon Klauser, big, bold, ballsy post from Brandon there. We love that. You go for it, Brandon. Heavyweight, big trucks and smashing deals. I feel all pumped up. Steve Myers. Steve, absolute legend in the sales world, quoting Shakespeare at us. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. There's other quotes out there about this, isn't there? That why are the gifted frozen into not doing anything while the genuinely stupid become successful? Because they just have no idea that it might not work. Fortune favors the brave. You've got to go and get your shit done. And last, we got 6 great discovery questions from Jan Benedict Mundorf. Don't go to solution mode too soon. And Susie, I'm going to quote back you because I wrote it down because I really liked it. A need is not enough. What is the motivation? What is the timing? Who's involved? You've got to get really nosy. 4 great posts we shared this week. If you've seen anything on LinkedIn or Insta or anywhere online you think could help people in the sales world or would help people by them not following that advice equally, please come and share it with us. DM me or Susie or Leon. Susie, any Jerry Springer final thoughts from yourself?
I can't even remember what the ending of Jerry Springer was. What did he always say?
He just always had some kind of deep, heartfelt, motivational sentence while he stood with one knee on a chair, kind of in that real grandiose style. I don't expect you to do that because we don't video this.
How about then, everything will be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end.
Oh, let's just leave it there. Love that.